Hey everybody, it's Micah with Membarium, and today I have a new friend, Charles Byrd, who I just met recently out at an event in San Diego, and he's with PureJV, and we're going to ask him about a couple things related to courses and memberships because he's an expert in joint ventures and affiliates, and I think one of the most powerful things to get membership sites and courses off the ground. So Charles, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Micah, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, man. And I don't know you that well, so I guess I'm going to get to know you as part of this episode, which is cool. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of your career history and what you're doing today?
Absolutely. So I'll give a little backstory straight into what I'm up to today and who I work with. So I worked in the Silicon Valley for 15 years. I was a director at a billion-dollar software company. I left to get a taste of the entrepreneurial freedom I read about in books. I started with a low-ticket productivity course, and being new to the online space, didn't yet have a list or connections. So started going to a lot of events and connecting with people online, and quickly found my new peer group of entrepreneurs already had my ideal clients in their communities. So started setting up presentations to other people's audiences, delivering a high-value training and offering the deeper dive course, and started growing my list quickly, making sales, making a positive impact. So I thought, since this is working, what if I take my IT and systems background and simplify and systematize the entire joint venture process, which I did. And eventually people wondered how I book 2 to 6 joint venture promotions per week to other people's communities and lists. And I was at a mastermind in Aspen, and my phone's blowing up with texts and messenger messages and people knocking on the room door going, how do you book so many of these? So I decided to put on my first high ticket event called PureJV, enabling businesses to scale through joint venture partnerships. And that's the market I've been serving ever since, helping businesses create a unique JV strategy for their particular offer and market, help them identify their most profitable partners, learn how to connect to those partners through warm channels. My favorite part, how to guide the conversations to land the deals in as little as 20 minutes, and then operationally how to execute those deals, along with turning each one into 2 or 3 more. And 8 of my clients within a year of working together had added 1.25 to 6 million in additional revenue. And this is helping them get in front of other people's audiences, get booked on physical stages, create referral partnerships and things like that. I actually just wrapped up a podcast interview with a client of mine named Todd Hartley right before this. And he's, Tony Robbins hired him to train 100 of his companies how to increase sales through video. And anyway, we're just coming off that interview. He's 3 weeks out from our work. We worked together for a month, and he's booking a JV promotion every week that each are pulling in over 100K. So super cool to help people see how to do this and then get them up and going, and then watch them go wild, change lives and grow their business all the while.
No kidding. That's amazing. Wow. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been a very satisfying journey.
That's really cool. So there's so much I could go into, but one of the nerdy things you said early on was you said bringing your kind of tech background to JV. You know, I see the technical side of JVs, but I've also always thought of it as a relationship game. Can you explain a little bit more how you brought that into that world?
Yeah, so it's for sure relationships number one, and that's actually the main reason I love it so much, because you're connecting with really cool people and designing winning outcomes for their customers, their communities, for them and for you. It's gratifying. So a lot of people may be great at relationships, but they may kind of lack systems or tracking or follow-up. And then I'm just being a little extreme. Then you've got the other side, people that are great with systems, but they're not particularly great with people. So to have a framework that shows you how to build great relationships and listen and connect and provide value, while having a framework for not letting things fall through the cracks. So you're actually following up with the people you meet at events or you're introduced to. It's the very reason you and I are speaking today. We met at an event. There was an actual follow-up, because if there wasn't, we wouldn't be here. and then, you get to know people and who they're serving, what their goals are, and give them value by providing pathways to achieve those goals, all the while landing clients, referral partners, joint venture partners, and again, everyone's coming out ahead in the process.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are a perfect example. Just like you said, if not for your system of follow-up, we may not have made it on this call. And it's not due to intention, because I met you and I was like, yes, I want to have this call. But you're right, your system of follow-up kind of helped tie this together, right? And then now I've got you on here to provide valuable training for my list. And then, it's going to hopefully get traffic going your way and all of that. So I kind of see what you're saying. Let me, I jumped right in with that question, but let me back up a little bit. For some of our listeners are wanting to start a course or a membership. They're kind of interested in the topic. So I just want to cover generally kind of what being a joint venture partner, what being an affiliate and all of that. So can you run us through a simple example that you'll give somebody when you're explaining the concept?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you asked. And I think it's also pertinent that I, based on how you've described some of the audience members, that's exactly where I started, kind of with a vision and dream and very clueless, at least for me. And so just to define JVs, and I'll cover actually four JV types. The first one being presenting to other people's audiences. So I assume a chunk of your listeners will have heard of people like Brian Tracy, big following in relation to sales and high performance and things like that. So he has an email list of around 500,000 people. Imagine Brian mailing his whole list, inviting them to a training that you're putting on memberships and launching programs. And so everyone who registers for that training is now added to your email list. You deliver a high value training to the folks that come on to it. And then you make an offer to support people in getting their membership or programs up and going. So his audience, your product, and then the revenue shared between you, because you're pairing those things up. So the first JV type, presenting to other people's audiences, and there's different types of those. So for example, like coming into a high ticket mastermind and doing a presentation there, that's also presenting to other people's audiences. So my point is, you can do broad promos to big lists, or you can come into really hand-picked groups and present inside like a mastermind or inside of someone else's high ticket program where you're coming in to deliver value and content. And of course, it's valuable to them and it's a lead source for you. These can be virtual, they can be in person. I just got back from Panama doing a JV workshop for 56 doctors, and 2 have already signed up as VIP clients, and I have 3 more sales calls in the next 2 days. So one of my clients flew me out to do that, delivered a high value training, which is valuable to his whole group, yet I'm landing direct high ticket clients out of it as well. So that's another example. Then you could look at referral partnerships, where like the more I learn about who you're looking to connect with and like who your specific best type of client is, the more direct you are on that, the easier it is for me to send those people straight to you. And the more you learn about what I help people with, the easier it is for you to send people to me. And so referrals, not only from clients, but from peers. I get 12 to 20 referrals a week to $1 million plus businesses because we have a system for generating referrals all the time and always delivering referrals all the time too. So that would be the second way. The third way would be embedded partnerships. This is where your offer's inside of other people's. So as an example, just this morning, one of my partners, she's a book publisher. She sold a 50K book package and I automatically get a client through it because my offer is inside of hers. So that's no lead gen, no sales calls. She's just wiring the money this morning. Those are my favorite kind of JVs because they're a single deal you make and they are the gift that keeps on giving. And then lastly, there would be social JVs. This would be things like podcast interviews or Instagram lives or Facebook lives or going on someone's YouTube channel for a show or collaboration, those kind of things. So those are the 4 JV types.
So I immediately am curious, is that a pathway? Like, oh, you should do this one, then that one, then that one, then that one? Or is it based on the type of person you're talking with?
Yeah, so when people come through our program, like I have a new client kickoff right after this, and that's one of the things we'll be doing on that call is to come up with a primary JV type and a secondary JV type. And it's not to say any of us can't be doing all of them. It's just good to focus on what's going to deliver the most value in the fastest way, and then get that up in production and working well. And then you can look at adding another one should you want to. But to answer your question, typically, yeah, 1 or 2 of them are going to be the most obvious ways to get traction fast. And then as you get a little more advanced, you can add other ones. And a lot of clients I work with are quite advanced and they can do all of them out of the gate. But for newer people, it's good to have a primary one, like presenting to other groups and getting referrals. Now you're not chasing 4 rabbits, you're just chasing 2, I guess.
Gotcha. All right. So I think anybody with a course or product, when you were talking about Brian Tracy and saying, well, what if he promoted your, whatever it is, whatever your subject matter is, definitely people would want that. Can you talk a little bit about how did they, and maybe they don't go in and talk to Brian Tracy, but they go to whoever it is, right? That to them has their audience. What's the structure of that conversation or approach? Do they just come right in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'd love for this? How do you approach somebody, or how would you advise someone to approach that?
Sure. How about I'll start with the way not to do it, and then I'll tell you how to do it. So okay. The way not to do it would be, oh, you have a big list. Will you promote my stuff? Because no one's ever going to do that, and you will not make a friend. So we want to, at least my approach, which works very well, is to engineer it around their goals. So it's connecting with them as people and listening to what they are trying to achieve, and then helping streamline a way to accomplish that. So the whole premise is listening and providing value first. So a lot of people need their brains rewired a bit because I think probably just naturally people think about their goals and needs, but the way to make this work very well is think about other people's goals and needs first. And when you do that, it makes it very easy to line things up. I will give you an example from this week, or I guess it was last week technically. So before we hit record here, we were talking about where you live, and I mentioned someone who lives where you do, Randy Garn. So it was the first time I'd met him, and we jump on a call, and I was asking what he was up to, what he's looking for, And among other things, he was looking for companies to invest in. So I recommended 3. So that's value add to him based on his goals. And then I had a very unique call on Tuesday where I was asked to curate speaker lineups to present in Dubai to groups of 4,000 to 10,000 people live. So quite a unique opportunity. And so I'm on with Randy. I'm like, Randy, have you ever wanted to speak in Dubai? And he's like, I love Dubai. I'd love to. Sign me up. How do we line this up? So I'm like, cool, I'll put you on the list and recommend you to do so. So that's a value add win for him, right? And then 10 minutes later, he's invited me to hang out in Phoenix next week. Now, I can assure you, if I jumped on a call like that and I was like, here's the kind of clients I'm looking for, who do you know? I would not be invited to Phoenix to hang out with him. It's because I was putting his goals and needs ahead of mine, and the rest just follows. It's as natural and magic as could possibly be, because when you know someone's looking out for you, you look out for them too. It's just it's human nature, and in fact, it's straight out of the principles of Cialdini's book Influence, who I actually had a great sales call with on Thursday. It's the law of reciprocation. Now, you're not doing it to get something, but by doing it, you always do get something. So it's very powerful.
Gotcha. And I would imagine there's cases where you do something nice for somebody and something doesn't come back, but no big deal, right?
Yeah, because the way I see it is you're creating a wake of goodwill in front of you. It comes around. It comes around in such a volume it's hard to keep up with. So it really doesn't matter if you're helping people out and nothing directly comes. Who cares? You just made their day better and you made the world a little bit better place. And the volume of ones that do come through are so high when you're doing this all the time. It's truly hard to keep up with because there's so many opportunities. Like, just an example I'm managing right now, one of my clients asked me to fly to Utah to do a JV workshop, but another friend asked me to go to New Orleans to do a JV workshop for her people. So now I'm pretty much double booked, although I'll do one through Zoom and one in person. These are good problems to have.
Yeah, really good problems to have. Let's say somebody has, and I'll just throw out a kind of a dumb example. Let's say somebody's built a course for beginners on whatever their topic is. Let's say it's music of some kind. And so they've got a course for beginners, and then they've got kind of a membership to help people along. And that's what they've got, right? How can they, you talk about helping these other people. I guess what I'm looking for is, what are some things that they can offer? If they don't have a speaking engagement in Dubai to hand to somebody, what can they leverage maybe?
Sure. So you're always working from, to your point, what's available to you. And that could be as simple as inviting them to a show to get a little more exposure, which can be done with minimal infrastructure. Right now, we're just using Zoom. You could, I don't know if people still do these, but I used to do Facebook Lives with people like Eben Pagan had a book coming out, or Lisa Sasevich, or other people. So I'd say, hey, do you want me to interview you and help get the word out about that? Or you can say, tell me exactly who your ideal client is, because I go to different events or I connect with people online. I'd love to send you referrals if, I come across them. So in my case, usually I have specific people I can send, but even if you don't, you can say, would you like me to keep my eye out for people that would be a good fit for your course or to work with you. Because you're not actually providing tangible value yet, but people still see like, oh, they're making an effort to serve. So you just work with what you have. Maybe you learned about a new AI app over the weekend and you're excited about it, and you see how it could help streamline something maybe they're doing, so you can mention it. These could be referrals, connections to resources. Oh, you're redoing your marketing campaign, you should check out this book or talk to so-and-so. Like we're just listening and finding, I call them value bursts. So you're not committing to doing a bunch of free work or something crazy. You're finding a way to be useful in a little burst, something helpful. Like even the, I'll just reference it again because it's top of mind. Randy Garn has 2 full-time people that do nothing but send intros. And since I have a systems background and my original market was productivity, I showed him a few ways that I track referrals as a value add, because I know he has that same need. And the next thing he said is, I need to fly you out or I'll fly to you. I've got to get this in place because we don't track this to this level and we'd love to. So look at things you're naturally good at, and you can share things about that. I call them superpowers, and you're going to have some core competency superpowers, professional ones. For me, it's my network, systems, JV strategy, but they can be personal things. Like I talked Dan Martell and his family into how to get Burning Man tickets. Like anything that you may be good at, personal or professional. I've talked to clients' kids on which electric one-wheeler skateboard to buy because me and my kids ride them. So just listen to what people are trying to accomplish and help them achieve it.
It's interesting because I'm thinking about some of the better situations that have happened, like the things that almost seem like serendipity or luck or good fortune. And going back through how they came about, it's basically what you said, met somebody at one point, tried to help them, became friends over time, like, oh, here's an opportunity, actually could help them, right? Did it. And then over time that just kind of escalated, and now it's silly little things like getting invited to something where to them it's no big deal. To me, it's a really big deal, right?
Sure.
It's very cool stuff. And I do like that approach too of really, if I heard you correctly, initially you may not quite know, but just asking and just really taking the time to try to understand what they're looking for, what could help them, offering to be on the lookout. Doesn't take much more than just kind of caring, right? And taking the time.
Yeah. And I describe them as things that literally create value versus perceived value. Like if you're like, well, now that I know what you do, I interview people all the time on this show. Would you like me to keep my eye out for potentially good referral partners or JV partners? Who's going to say no to that? It's like, well, wow, you would do that? That's awesome. So that's perceived value. You haven't actually delivered value yet, but I still perceive value. Versus you going, I'm working with 2 ideal clients for you right now. Would you like warm intros to them? That would easily end up being real value, because then they turn into clients and that turns into revenue and all of that. So yeah, it's just reshaping your brain to think about how to be useful to other people. Again, in a burst, you're not trying to like go do a bunch of free work for people, but still to be useful.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Let's talk for just a couple of minutes about your business generally, because I'm sure most people are going to want to talk to you or to figure out what you do. And so I'm curious, you're talking about these higher level things. I'm assuming you're kind of managing those yourself. Do you have, or what do you have in terms of a community, a course, coaching, group coaching, and I'm curious so that people know what's available from you, but also more from an advisory perspective, saying like, hey, if I'm doing this kind of high level thing, here are other ways to leverage it. So what do you do today to leverage memberships and courses?
Well, personally, it's mostly me helping those folks as clients, because people that have courses and memberships need to get them in front of the right people. And they have three ways to do that. They can pay for traffic, whether the traffic works for them or not, they're going to pay for it. They can do content marketing, which can work too. Tends to have about a year build up to get enough traction. And you have to be super consistent. You also need to hope algorithms aren't changing and burying your content. And then there's joint ventures, which includes referrals. And so giving people systematic ways to get in front of other people's audiences, it diversifies your traffic. The traffic converts 2 to 3 times better than paid ads because it's warm traffic. But to get back to your actual question, I mean, I started with digital courses. I've studied memberships extensively with Stu McLaren and the membership guys, and other resources like that. And really, if you look at how people like Jeff Walker, Stu, all of these bigger players, 95% of Jeff Walker's traffic is through partners. 95%. Ryan Levesque, like his $8 million plus launches, most of that is partner driven. But let's go back to the beginning, and someone's got a new thing, they're trying to get membership off the ground. Joint ventures are the most risk-free way to do it, because if you're new to business and marketing, chances are you're going to be new to ads too. So you can either start trying to learn how to do that, or you can hire someone. Either way, it's a slow burn. Or partnerships, you can start getting in front of people's lists, and it's risk-free because you're only paying based on actual sales you've made, not upfront. And that's how I got going with that productivity course. It was all through partners, booking 2 to 6 joint ventures a week to other people's audiences. And I've kind of served a bunch of different levels of the market. Again, that $200 productivity course. Then I had a 2K thing. I've had 5K, 8K, 20K. Now it's 45K, working one-on-one with $1 million plus businesses. But we have full high production content, video trainings, templates, resources, all of that. So in short, this is a long way of answering your question, I work one-on-one VIP, 5-week engagements, and that's really all it takes to add an extra $1 million to a business that's already at around $1 million or well over. And then we do have a coaching program that I'm not actively trying to sell, but we have coaches on my team that will walk people through our curriculum and framework, and that's more of an 8K kind of thing.
Gotcha. I like the reverse psychology. You can't join this program. Don't go join his program and learn his structure, guys. Well, so let me ask you just to try this on, and you can maybe give me some coaching if you don't mind. What kind of people are you looking for? Who is your ideal client to work with one-on-one?
Yeah, so 3 things. 1, $1 million plus business. 2, they're known for what they do, and their offers already are converting. So I'll give a couple examples. Do you happen to know who Alaric Heck is? He's a YouTube ads expert.
I don't.
So he's got a strong offer teaching businesses how to do their YouTube ads. He happens to be a good speaker. He's known for what he does, and he's good at it. And so he hired me, and 6 weeks later, his team was booking a joint venture every week to a different audience, selling multiple high ticket seats every time. So someone like that is wonderful because they've got so many of these ducks in a row. I'm just helping them with the JV side, and then they thrive with it. Just like Todd Hartley, this Tony Robbins trainer, his offer is great. He's a great presenter. It makes my job quite easy. Now, it's not to say this is only for people who are already successful. I started with JVs from the beginning, and they're really good for people that are newer too, because of that really low risk. There's no money dumping out of pocket for marketing. It's building relationships and getting in front of other audiences. And then as you make sales, you're paying commissions simply on the sales you already made, so that you're paying with money you wouldn't have even had otherwise. So that makes it quite low risk. So yeah, for the VIP client work, it would be those $1 million plus businesses. And then for the coaching program, I would say businesses that are probably 60K plus.
Gotcha. Well, very cool. So I know you've got, something else coming up right after this. So I'll just ask, any other thoughts or ideas for membership site owners? Was there something I should have asked that I didn't?
Well, keep in mind with memberships, you need to get people in the front door, and then you need a high stick rate, like keeping people there. So by lining up different promotions with different partners, I think the most successful membership sites, and you're the expert, but it's kind of in a launch model where the doors are closed in between, because it creates urgency for people to actually sign up when they have the ability to. Now, keep in mind, you can hold quite true to that, to your list, and maybe only open it twice a year or something like that. But then you're like, well, what about the sales in between? That's where partnerships come from. Each JV partnership, you can have a specific promo window for that other particular audience. And so this continues filling your list. This continues bringing on new signups. And when you're landing multiple of these per month, you're overtaking attrition by bringing new people in the front door. So it's like, I'm sure I'm biased, but it feels like the ultimate way to just keep traffic coming in. And if you look at what some of the very biggest players in the space do, that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, well, this has been really, really amazing. I appreciate you coming on. Somebody who wants to learn more about you, where should they go?
You can simply go to charlesbyrd.com, BYRD, and there's more info on JVs and stuff that we're up to. There's a link to schedule a call if you'd like, and chat with me or a member of my team to learn more about what you're up to and explore if JVs may be a good fit for you and your business.
Well, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Charles.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Micah.